implemented the remedies. I kind of trusted the remedies. I trusted I was doing the right things. And I just focused on the positive things. Um, and then suddenly it was sort of like little breakthroughs. And I was just like, you know what, I got to utilize the community. So when I got this big callback, I was just like, you know what better place to ask for support. There.
That's it. Hi, Ginny. Thanks
Hi.
so much for joining me today. Where are you in the world?
I am in Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, Canada. We have some lovely not all our members are amazing, but we have some other members in Canada as well. Lovely members in and Toronto. Um, so Ginny, thanks so much for joining us. Do you want to share what it is that you do in the world? How you shine your light? You're just glowing. You look amazing.
Well, I mean, I have special lights. I have a whole setup. I'm an actor. I I was just recording an audition, so I had everything all set up. So, I have an advantage there. Um, yeah, so I'm an actor. I was a flight attendant for many years, and during COVID, I was laid off. So I was able to sort of just focus on acting, which was always my main focus.
Amazing, amazing. And tell me this. You decided to join us. You're not long a member of Powerhouse. And what was the thing that kind of called you to join us in Powerhouse?
Well, I had been following along since sort of like during the pandemic. So
Okay.
I think it might have been 2020 or 2021 when I joined the Facebook group. And so I'd been following along with you for a couple of years, at least. And, just implementing some of the little feng shui tips that you were dropping. And you were always so generous with your time. And so, yeah, I always just kind of felt like um, I was sort of getting stuck at a certain level in my career, and I really wanted to break through that. And so this year I wanted to commit to telling the universe, I'm going to invest in something pretty big, and I'm going to implement all the changes. I'm going to implement the remedies, and I'm going to make this happen where I'm going to, sort of just break through to the next level. Yeah, so that's why, in January, and I think you also had some like new pricing, like just the monthly pricing made it a lot more approachable as well. So yeah, that's why I was like, okay, this is my year. This is the year.
I love it. I love it. So since you've joined, do you want to describe like your little journey and maybe because I just saw some of the posts that you posted and like for me, I see on a Friday people share their wins and I'm like, oh my God, Ginny's having a great time. Let's see, have a chat to Ginny.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a pretty positive person, so I've been practicing gratitude and journaling for a while, and there was sort of a period of time where I felt like I was like sort of like manic manifesting, like I was doing everything.
Mm.
So I kind of like fell away from the gratitude journals for a bit because I was like, you know what? I need to pick something that I'm just going to let go of and relax on. And so that was the thing. But I was like, you know what? Once a week, I think that that's a good practice. So I don't have to do it every single day. But once a week, it was sort of getting me back into it. And there were some weeks where, things were kind of bleak. The industry, hadn't picked up. So last year there was the big strike, the double strike with the in Hollywood. I don't know if you were following along with that, but that affected business in Toronto as well, because we're sort of like a big hub. Toronto and Vancouver in Canada are sort of like Hollywood North. And it definitely affected how much work we were getting. And so when the strike was over, we were really hopeful for everything to come back, but that was sort of slow to start. So, that was, so even though we were so like, we're like, January, it's 2024, the strike's over, COVID is over, like, this is our year. And then it was still quite slow to start. But, I implemented the remedies. I kind of trusted the remedies. I trusted I was doing the right things. And I just focused on the positive things. And then suddenly it was sort of like little breakthroughs. And I was just like, you know what, I got to utilize the community. So when I got this big callback, I was just like, you know what better place to ask for support. So I did, and I wrote the affirmations. I actually did make a little vision board on my phone, like on Canva. And I had found, so this one movie that I'm actually going out to Ottawa to shoot on Monday, it's an indie film, but it has some like celebrities attached to it. So it was out on deadline. So I found the article, and like I found the actors, and I created this little like vision board that was like Ginny Wong joining the cast, and I did that. And every night, like I'd look at it before I went to bed, and then I'd wake up and I'd look at it like the week leading up to the callback. And I wrote the affirmations. And yeah, the callback went great. I was put on hold, and then eventually I found out that I booked it. So that was really exciting for me. It's not like a huge role, but I think it's a really exciting director, and yeah, some like cast members, like I can't wait to share more about it. I'll definitely share in the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like sort of so that happened for me. And then leading up to it, like my husband, he's in real estate. So, the real estate market, because of the interest rates and stuff like that, that's also been affected. And there was just like this one week where we were just like feeling pretty down about things. And I was just like, I'm going to look through my remedies. I'm just going to see what's up. So like there was one, it was the moving metal and magic metal in one particular area. It was in the West. And I was asking about the West, and I was like, is something going wrong here? So I pulled them out. I cleaned it, and then I just shifted it over, because where it was sort of like on the brink of like between two guas. I guess it was kind of close to the other side. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to move it. I'm going to put it right in the middle, whatever, and see what happens. And then I wrote some affirmations. I really wanted to support my husband. I watched the Ken video, and I was like, you know what? It's spring. It's like the weather's finally nice now. I bought some planters for my front door. And then it was just like all of a sudden, like these things started happening. Yeah, and I actually got a job offer, like for a film that I didn't even audition for. And it was just like a relationship that I had been building with this one particular casting director for the last few years. And, they always say, they're like, yeah, it's important to network, and eventually, like, you'll just get offers. And, it had been years and that had never happened. And then out of the blue, they were just like, oh, are you interested in this role? Are you available? And I was like, yeah, I'm available. Yeah. So, and then I've just kind of, since that point, I feel like things have been going a little bit smoother. I decided that, I didn't want to solely depend on, so one of the things that I wanted to shift was also not doing these smaller roles anymore. I really wanted to move up to bigger roles, or if it was going to be a smaller role for like a sort of like with something with celebrities, like a major, something that was going to be like in theaters, like a feature film. And I in order to sort of do that, I need like a baseline of funds coming in. So my husband and I, we both decided, we're like, okay, let's just get like a job. So I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for some jobs, something that I can do remotely, something I can do from home. I can still focus on my acting. It's not going to take away from it. And then I applied to a bunch of different jobs. I didn't even hear back. And then sort of just like in that same timeline, like all of a sudden they were like, oh, we're interested. Let's have an interview. And I was like, okay. Then I had another interview, and the job that they want me to do is like they were interested in me specifically because I knew how to work with video and video editing, because I also went to school for journalism. So it was very specific to my skill set. And I was like, okay, great. And yeah, so they did offer me the job. I just found out yesterday, but now we're negotiating because um, yeah, I'm sort of done taking just like whatever's offered. I countered offered. I'm I'm also just like, now that things are picking up for me in acting, I'm like, I don't know, I don't really need this job. So yeah, so everything is just starting to pick up, and I'm really excited about it.
Amazing, amazing. I love it. This is so fun. And I suppose what I'd love to hear is just like in terms of like you did your remedies, you've been doing all the intentions, all of that. Like, what's your sense and feeling in the house?
Um, so another thing, I had made notes of like the little things that I did that kind of shifted. So there was my son, he was like, and he was always like the easy one, like, he had a good social life, he liked his friends at school, he did well in school and everything. And there was just this like time where, he was like, I hate school, I don't want to go, and his teacher was really concerned. Um, and I was just like, okay, let's just take a look at this. And we had done some renovating, and we had moved some stuff around. And there was this one room that was their bedroom, but they moved to the basement, and we were just like storing things there for now. And I told the house, I was like, this is temporary. I know it's really cluttered in this room, but we're going to clear it out. Well, it's been like, since December. Uh, so I kind of went back in there, and I was just like, this was the gua that was my for the eldest son. And I was like, okay. I was like, let's shift some things. I was like, let's just move some stuff around. So I moved it around, and some of the cabinets and stuff I decluttered. I made some more space where you can actually go walk into the room now, and you can actually open and close the door, because before, like, a dresser was blocking it and all this stuff. And like, honestly, like, he's just been doing so much better. So yeah, so I mean, that coupled with the flow, it's the flow of the energy. And my two sons, they were also fighting a lot, and now I feel like that's flowing a lot better as well. So yeah, it feels good, it feels better. There's work to be done now that, if I'm going to get this job, i'm going to need I'm going to need to turn that place into like an office so I can do my work. But
Amazing.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. And in terms of just the community and being part of the community, how do you feel about that space and the support?
Oh, well, I love it. I mean, everybody, like, I'm aligned with everybody, right? Everybody's very positive. One of the things I was explaining to a friend of mine, because I'm Chinese, and like, I don't dare tell my mom that I'm, getting feng shui advice from this lady in Ireland, right? Of all the places and the things to do, right? But I was just like, sometimes with a lot of these Chinese sort of old school feng shui, they're harsh. They're very like, I remember we got one in the house that we previously lived in, and they were just like, oh, what zodiac sign are you? Oh, well, this marriage isn't gonna last. You're gonna remarry for sure. Oh, you're a monkey? Yeah, for sure. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, we had just gotten married, like, we just moved in together. I was like, what are you, and it's just stuff like that where I just like, don't put that on us, right? Like, not that we think that's going to come true, but just the fact that it was like in the air, like, don't. So it's just like little things like that. And it's very, like the terminology, right? Like the killing stars, like that type of stuff. I'm much more aligned with just being positive and like suggestions. It's not detrimental. If you don't do this, it's not that it's going to, everything's going to burn in flames. It's a suggestion. Here's what you can do. You try your best, you move in that direction, and things will get aligned. So that's one of the reasons why I also decided to join, because I was just like, that's the type of community that I want to be in. Not these black and white and you know seemingly arbitrary sort of things that it's like, if you don't do this, then the worst possible thing will happen to you.
And actually, that's just one of the things that I really tried to do, especially even more and more every year, is trying to take the very dramatic language out of it. I'm like, it's okay, like we just like, let's just do our best, work with the house you've got. Like, how can we just make it as good as it can possibly be? Because that's all we can do, work with what we've got.
Right, yeah. And like traditional feng shui, it can be very like, oh, well, that can't be there. Like, demolish it right away. Like, get rid of it. Like, you can't have a pet. Give that away. Like, it could just be so cruel. And you're just like, maybe there's a way around this.
I'm so glad to hear that that's one of the things that resonates with you. Just around, like, I feel like that's one of the things, for me, when I hear some parts, that it's like, a feng shui consultant told me I can never live in this house, or I have to move, or I have to knock this room down, or I have to put this thing in, and I'm like, oh man, this is exactly what I'm trying to basically introduce people to a new way of being and doing with it. So it's
Yes.
approachable.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. In terms of your journey so far, is there anything that you'd like to share with the community? Because I know, considering you've been in our world for a while, now that you've joined, it's different from doing the kind of free trainings to coming into our community.
Yeah. I mean, I think the trigrams probably one of the most eye-opening. Like, I had always, I just, I love red and all these fire colors. And I mean, I liked green too, but it was sort of like a secondary thing. And it turns out I should just be like way more green, way more like blue and black. And so I've kind of, sort of just started doing that a little bit more. I'll still wear my red. I still love my red. Again, I don't believe in the black and white. But yeah, like I just kind of like, oh, okay, well, let's just like give it a try. Let's just see what happens. And so far it's like, I mean, I don't necessarily know, like, it's very hard to gauge, right? It's not like I did this and then like I won the lottery, right? um, but it's just like these little changes that I'm open to, and it's nice to have guideline and just sort of sticking with one thing, because it's sort of like a diet, right? All kinds of diets can work for all kinds of different people. And what worked for your friend Sally might not work for you. But you just kind of want to find one thing that you like and that you can stick with, and keep going. And then it's just sort of like a path that you can follow. So that's how I look at the Powerhouse community.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And there's always people considering joining us in the program. And I suppose, what would you say to people who are considering joining us?
I'd say that, if it aligns with you, right? If you enjoy having a community of people that will encourage you and support you in a positive way, if that's something, and there are people that like aren't there yet, And they're just like, no, I need to complain. I need to vent. I need all, I still am in that energy. And I don't think this is the right place for you. Because if anything, you'll feel stifled. Like you feel like you won't be able to talk about your feelings. Like sometimes I feel that way with certain friends, right? Like I just know that they're going to want to complain and I'm not going to try to be that positive Polly around them. I just know that I just need to protect my energy with them. Um, yeah, but if you're ready for a positive community, a positive way to lead in your life for towards change, then I think that this is a great place to start and continue your journey. I love that it's also like a two year membership. Um, yeah, yeah, like I'm really excited about how things are going and how they continue to evolve.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things because we're very early on with you at the moment, and this is where I'm actually kind of going to be quite at the moment. I want to talk to people who are just starting, like you're only a few months in, and you're starting to see the momentum happening. And my favorite is then talking to someone who's like who's been 4, 5, 6 years, and they're like, oh, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it's that like momentum because they're just growing and evolving. So I'm really excited to see what unfolds for you.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely feel like things are starting to pick up and some of the, because then there was like a strike that was possible that was going to loom with the writers here in Canada, but that's been squared away. So it's just sort of like the outer world is starting to come together and, my inner world is starting to fall into place. Um, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Oh yeah, and then something else happened. I was a friend of mine had offered me a role, like a small role in a project, and it was supposed to happen last fall, and then it was supposed to happen in May, and like I hadn't heard anything. And then out of the blue, she called me and she was like, there's actually a like a regular role, like a series regular role. So like in every single episode versus like one or two lines in a couple episodes that I think you'd be better for if you're interested. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, we're going to be shooting in Malaysia. And, she's already had interest from Hollywood Suite, which is sort of like one of those streaming devices, and then it was going to be on Amazon Prime, like all of these things. And it's just like, it's coming to me versus me trying to, because that was another thing that this year, I was like, I need to just be ready to receive. I just want to receive. I feel like I've done a lot.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear the path so that things can come to me. And I feel like slowly that's just starting to trickle in.
Yeah, and this is actually just for some reason one of our members, Geraldine Bracken, I think she's in our program now for 7 years. The conversation I had with her last year was the fact that when she joined our program, was she just didn't want to do any marketing anymore for her business. She didn't want to be promoting her. And basically, people just hear of her word of mouth and fill her classes and her programs. Everything just fills now. She doesn't have to do any marketing; it just like comes to her. And I was listening to you, and I was like, "That,
yeah,
stick to it."
Yeah, like I'm still doing, the other stuff as I go, but yeah, it just seems like better opportunities, and then just like things coming to me. So yeah, I welcome it. I'm
Welcome it. Well,
welcoming it
I'm
all.
welcoming for you. And just thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me today and just sharing your journey so far because it's just the start. And it's so great to hear like these things moving, not just for yourself, but your husband, the kids, and there's still so much more potential to unfold for you. So
Yeah, and I'm excited for yes, because I was very focused on me for the most part, my investment. But I was just like, oh, okay. So, and then just the inspiration, because things that you don't really think of. So today, I stumbled on the post about writing the affirmations for your kids, and putting it in the West Gua. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I didn't do anything in that particular gua. I was very focused on my career. And then, having helpful people and travel. Like there were certain guas that I had made it a point to right away make my affirmations for. But I was like, yeah, I can fill out some of the other guas now as I go.
Yeah. And that's it. It's a journey. It's just like it's always going to be evolving. So it is always going to be a journey. There's something to do with it. So yeah, it's brilliant. And so thanks a million, Ginny. Thanks everybody for tuning
Thanks
in.
for having me.